kit review for Bards for Baldur's Gate. Bards are very interesting. They're the musicians, they're the combination between a thief and a spellcaster, and they have kind of increased lore. They have a whole bunch of things that work to help out parties in general. They act as the tanks of a party. However, they don't do nearly as much damage in combat, where they do a fair amount of their damage as they do it in spells that they cast. But even then, you want to probably have a wizard or a cleric doing a lot of the direct damage spells. So the role of the role of the bard is a little bit unusual in the fact that they are kind of a jack of all trades but a master of none, as the description says. They pick pockets. They can become proficient in any weapon and any fighting style, but they're not necessarily the people who are going to be doing that huge direct damage. With that in mind, now is a good chance to take a look at the at the different kits and how they differ, particularly in the Bard Song ability, which for the normal Bard is kind of lackluster. But for the Blade as the first kit, this is going to be the primary damage dealer. Even then, you're still not talking about a huge amount of damage, but they're certainly better damage dealers than the base Bard is. The thing about the Blade is that they have the offensive and defensive spins, which do pretty much what you would imagine them to do. They are basically flourishes that help the bard out with whichever direction they want to go in combat. They can cast the spells that are necessary to keep their faces pretty, and they basically dive into that role of being the spell-casting tank. Now, these disadvantages, if you're really invested in lore and really invested in pickpockets, it's not so great. But in all honesty, there's going to be other ways that you can meet these needs if you need them met, right? Lore value just helps out in identifying objects. You can always cast an identify spell, or you can take it to a vendor and they can identify stuff. And pickpockets, there's plenty of playthroughs I've done without even using pickpockets once. So the Blade is actually a pretty fantastic class. These disadvantages aren't that harsh, and they really dive into the role of being the good dodge tank. Then we have the Jester. Now, the Jester, first off, you look at disadvantages, you're like, oh wow, they don't get any disadvantages. So they're just basically a, really comical version of a bard with an unusual bard song. That's great. So the base bard song basically just eliminates fear and makes the party's morale really strong. The Jester has an offensive song that leads to confusion and leads to other kind of nasty debuffs on the opponents. Here's the problem. Look at all these factors. First off, you have to be within 30 feet. The enemies have to be within 30 feet, and they get a bonus to all of their saves. So considering that you could cast a spell that has a penalty to any save against these effects, what is so special about a Jester? So honestly, it's nice that they don't have any disadvantages, and it's nice that they can cast spells and play the role of the tank, but them diving into this Jester song is just not worth it, right? If you got rid of these bonuses to saves, I think you could actually make something do with this class. However, I'm not very impressed, and I think the Jester, you just want to go for a different bard. Now, looking at the Skald is kind of a bard that focuses on buffing the party with their song, right? First off, they get something similar to like the swashbuckler in the fact or the assassin, where they're just better at combat than the other bards, which is actually kind of cool. I like that. Their bard song gives allies a bonus towards hitting and towards AC, and that's pretty cool. I like that. At 20th level, it combines the kind of elements of immunity from fear, resisting fear from the basic Bard song, and also gives them immunity to stun and confusion, which is huge. However, at this point of the game, you're probably going to be thinking about picking up the enhanced Bard song as a high level ability that replaces this, and that's an even better version of the Bard song. So the Skald, I think, is interesting, and I think is kind of something you can play around with, but if I were to pick a type of Bard, I would just go with the Blade. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out my other starter guides and my playthroughs. If you like what I do, please support the channel by subscribing, leaving a comment, or giving the video a like. For now, take care and good luck. We're all counting on you.